All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Rowdy Ones. We're happy to have y'all here. Tonight, as you can see, things are a little different with our guests. This is the Tether Group, and we're really going to dive into some stuff about these guys. Fantastic human beings out there doing the Lord's work and doing what a lot of people won't go and do. They are in the anti-trafficking industry, and they are boots on the ground kind of guys, and we wanted to share their story. So as you can see tonight, our gentlemen are wearing balaclavas to secure their identities. So I know they probably would much rather not. Yeah, I know, right?
I hate this so much. We don't do this to be cool, I promise.
I thought you guys just came off the slopes. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, no. I think we just came back from an In-N-Out photo shoot. No,
maybe Waffle House.
Yeah. Ouch. Yeah, fair enough. We can't afford it now.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so on the left of the screen, we have Irish here. On the right of the screen, we have Bully. As you can see, operational security is going to be a very big part of tonight. So if you hear names, they are going to be call signs to hide, not hide, but secure the identities of these people doing this kind of work, because
let's call it nicknames. I feel less of a douche that way.
Nicknames it is.
Please.
So we're going by nicknames. So we're gonna be just hanging out and talking about their story and what's going on and how it's all going down. They're doing great work, and so we're really gonna get into it tonight, and we're really excited to share this with y'all and share their story. Want to also mention Tether Group is not associated with any kind of Tether meme crypto coin when you go to research.
There too.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Tether Group is their own thing. They're not associated with anybody but themselves.
And we'll let them definitely talk about that and explain it a little more in detail than we ever could. Yes. But I would like, to speak out to everyone who listens to us and stuff too, and say, like, normally our podcasts, they're just chats with people, and this one will be too. But they normally lean motivational or into the lives of things or more upbeat. There's going to be a lot more serious of a topic. I mean, we'll get our laughs in and stuff too, but it's going to be a hard podcast to do for me personally for a few reasons. But outside of that, it's important to have conversations that are hard as well as ones that are easy. Sometimes you get the most out of those. So it's, eye-opening to find out some of this stuff. But also, like I said, it's important. It makes you understand the world around you more. And we live in that world, and we have the opportunity to change the world. So it's important to know the goods and the bads of it. And so I'm really pleased with the opportunity to have you guys on and to tell your story and let us hear more about it, as hard as it will be, because it's people like you that are out there able to make a difference. And, everyone can make a difference, and you have to fit in where your skill sets are, but you have to also make the effort to make a difference, right? Differences don't get made just because of good intentions. It takes a lot of hard work and sacrifices as well. So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That it's the follow through on those intentions. Obviously we're not guys here to kill the buzz. This is the Rowdy Ones podcast. We're going to keep this a very candid conversation, but because we're going to keep it candid, you're going to hear some real shit. It is what it is. But I promise we're not here to be some cool guys. We're not here to prop ourselves up as just like these white knights. We're just guys who found their calling. That's all it is. That's all it is. We found our calling. There's no other way to word that.
Yeah, a purpose greater than yourself.
Simple. Amen.
So I guess I'd love to start by just getting some background of Tether Group as itself and as you guys as individuals. So
yeah, absolutely. So Tether Group was a long time in the making. So Bully and I have actually worked with charities in the past. I've worked with 2, he's worked with 1, and it was always about obviously doing the right thing. You know what I mean? That's why everyone gets into the charity space. For us, though, it was one of those things where, you know, again, this isn't a moment of these charities are not as good because they're not doing what is on my moral hierarchy. But it's one of those things where do I find the best amount of fulfillment when I go to bed at night? Like, can I sleep with myself? So originally I started, it's a funny story. I met a very peculiar man in a bar. And I'm not at liberty to like go on and say names. But I met him in a bar out where we are. And I noticed he was just wearing the most peculiar outfit. He had skinny jeans, what is it? Like some sort of sweatshirt that was just like a half zip. And underneath it was a Deadpool shirt, and he had flip flops on. And I was just like, I hope this guy doesn't talk to me. And he talked to me. Yeah, he talked to me. First question he asked, like, hey, have you ever tried a sour? And I was like, yeah, I fucking hate this guy. All right.
For what it's worth, sours are pretty delicious.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, hold on. He gave me like one of the best sours I've ever fucking had. And we stayed at that bar and we talked for a long time. And he ended up being a really important guy. And he ended up helping run a lot of the charities that go on to essentially do anti-poaching work out in Africa. And he's the one that kind of dipped my toes in the water. And, you know, we stayed in contact for a while. And I would help him here and there with some small tasks, and, you know, they would grow exponentially. And when it was time for me to step away, it was for very practical reasons, work. I've got things to do, and this is something that I can't 100% be a part of. The stars aren't aligning. It wasn't something where I didn't care about the goal and the mission and everything. But as I was learning about a lot of the anti-poaching, I got to learn a whole lot about the continent of Africa, specifically southern to middle. So like as far north, again, it's not the most northernmost, but as far north as Kenya, as far south as, you know, the Cape down in South Africa, things like that. And that knowledge and that he gave to me, and I want to say the passion he kind of planted the seed in a little bit, it stuck with me. Africa has always been a place where just like, you know, it could be so much more than it is. And it's so damn important globally. You know, if you want to talk economically, it's got the most mineral resources, probably some that are still undiscovered in places. I mean, it's rich in every sense of the way. Unfortunately, a lot of those
is why you see, you know, China investing as much into it as they have.
Yeah, but the same with the both. So Africa, depending on especially where you go, they've got it's very mixed opinions about every side of the world. You know, they look at Europe and they're like, they've exploited us. They look at the Far East, such as China, like they're going to exploit us. They look at the West as, you know, like America, as like they have exploited us. They feel like no one's on their side, but they have to take what's given to them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you see that attitude a lot, especially in the more, I don't want to say built up nations, but built up nations. So if you see that a lot in the attitude in Kenya, Namibia, South Africa, things like that, parts of Botswana as well. And they're either neutral or they're suspicious of strangers in their country. It's as simple as that. And
as any nation should be, regardless of where you are, because I mean, a nation's goal is to have, you know, their own citizens at their own heart, you know, like that make their priorities above them. So that's how anyone should be looking when people are looking to come in and help you from another nation side of things, because they're doing it for their own benefits as well, you know, even if they have the best intentions.
Of course. Yeah. And, you know, after we parted ways, you know, that passion and that interest never really left. And, you know, I went about my life still. And then Bully and I ended up working together with another foundation that focused very much on veterans and veteran support. And we dove in heavily in there, and we worked in there until our hands became tied again with work, and we had to step away. But those feelings never left us. It was one of those things where just like, that was really cool. It was really cool that we got to do that. Why is it that, we're so worried about our 9-to-5s here that we can't make an extra like 30 minutes to an hour at night just to like do more? And eventually, it was a great happenstance. We also run Almost Covert, and one day some guy on our we do questions every other week, try to just talk to our audience and just kind of see how they're feeling, and we'll answer any questions they have. Well, the question was, hey, have you guys ever thought about working alongside any charities? And I was like, it's a cool question because we have in the past, and we'll always be down to help however we can. So we posted that story up, and immediately a guy hit us with, there is an anti-human trafficking organization specifically targeting traffickers of children in South Africa. And on his own dime, he's doing this, and this, and he's got all these confirmed saves, again, with no funding. Like, this is the guy who needs your help. And so Bully and I were like, sure. Whatever. And then we just kept having conversations with the guy, and we ended up looking them up, and we ended up getting in contact with the founder. And he had a bunch of newspaper articles locally, of course, out there in South Africa. And he wasn't joking at all. He was on the ground putting in solid work day after day, night after night, at his own risk. We'll get into a lot of the factions over there, but it's not a safe job. The crime rate's terrible, 33% unemployment rate. So when you have, when it's that bad, people don't have anything to turn to. They're going to rob you. There's going to be extremely high violence. I think I don't like quoting statistics out my ass, but I believe this is a paraphrase, but I remember there was one year where there was like 27,000, that's 3 zeros, murders in South Africa. That's terrible. So just to, set the ground, set the context, it's not a safe place. And when you're pissing people off and messing with their money, which a lot of trafficking, it's all focused around money. And we'll get into that as well, but it's also some cultural religious beliefs, which is terrible. But when you're messing with people's money like that, you're at extreme danger. And he was doing this.
I would almost guess that the 27,000 is probably, underreported too, because there's enough people that fall through the cracks there that they're not accounted for in the same way. You're not going to report the highest. So that number's crazy, but it's not even accurate.
Yeah. I think, again, I don't want to pull statistics out, but I've read some crazy stuff, but I think anyway, I don't want to.
Yeah. There's no way to actually speculate on exactly what it would be, but common sense would
so naturally
dictate that.
Yeah. So naturally, Bully, you're like, what are this guy's motivations? He's going to get himself killed. And it started just through Instagram. Hey, are you legit? Like, what are you doing? Because we've had a lot of people come to us and send us charities that are unfortunately not above board. Unfortunately, that stuff happens. You got to vet everything. And we went through a long vetting process. We've been talking this guy for well over a year.
And some of the biggest charities that are, legitimate charities are giving so little into it too. So it's not only the possibility of getting scammed from something, but also like, where is this actually going and everything. So yeah, you do have to look into it and trust it. And that's what you guys did. You built that relationship with him, got to know him as a person, saw what he was doing. And then you can, tie yourself to that, tie your work to that, knowing that it's going to benefit.
Exactly.
The intended party,
And so we eventually moved, and also just how I am. Like, whenever someone's like, this is a non-NGO that's overseas, it's just like, vet it hard. It is what it is. Because there's a whole lot of scammers, specifically like in Western Africa, that are super prevalent. Yeah. So we vetted it really hard. Our chats ended up moving over towards one of those encrypted text messaging apps. And then eventually we just got comfortable enough. Let's hop on a Zoom call with the guy. And the stories he's told us and his story and his plight and how he started was mind-boggling. There's been a lot of times together where I've had to step off to damn near shed a tear for some of the stories that he was telling us. And we just kept getting to know each other. And eventually we were like, how is your funding situation? Like, you know, how are you securing anything? Yeah. And he's just, frankly, he was like, I'm not. And it was one of those things where, well, we have to help you. We absolutely have to help. And we not only just in funding, but there's guys within our team that have an incredible skill set that doesn't just help with funding, but if there's any sort of open source intelligence that he's needed, if there's people who have a background with law enforcement investigations, things like that, people who have done these operations stateside or not, that would feel comfortable helping him with a vouch from us. And it was one of those things where we'd all started offering the world to him. And as we became friends, the collaboration only got deeper from there. I mean, it was one of those things where, like, you know what? You go where others don't. No, it's very obvious you're the only one with like very good pure intentions over there. That's essentially not only saving these children, but you're also trying to work above board with the law enforcement, which is already dicey enough because corruption in South Africa is
above board with what it is. You know,
you can't even begin to scale it.
The board's not even above board, so
so yeah, and that's put his life in danger several times. So it became a conversation of we need to create an American branch for you. You need all the support you can get, man. And that's sort of just the inklings of a Tether Group. It's right then and there. We felt called to this.
Yeah. And like you said, you were looking for a way that you could help, and then you by happenstance run across someone who leads you in a direction to not only help, but to help innocence. Like true innocence is children. It's, you know, they're raised in environments that are hard and whatnot, but like children are easy to take advantage of for that reason. So you find, you know, people that need your help, that are overlooked. You find someone with a passion being successful on no budget, and you're able to put, you know, manpower and capital behind him. And it's like, well, this person already had the passion to right or wrong. Let's see how far this can go. Because, you know, starting with someone who's truly passionate in something and truly passionate in a good cause, and then now having, you know, secured backup in that sense, like that's huge.
That was one of the main, you know, calling factors in my opinion. You know what I mean? Is that when we were talking to him, the conversation, he was, you know, he obviously wanted and needed help, right? But it wasn't a, oh, well, if I get help, I can do X, Y, Z. He was from the jump, bootstraps, right? Already doing and conducting the operations out of his own pocket with minimal to no training, minimal to no information, minimal to no support, and still managing to pull off these saves. And that, if nothing else, just goes to show you the quality of this guy's character. I mean, this dude is an absolutely amazing man. And as soon as we, like, you know, all the pieces kind of fell into place, it was there was no second thought about it, right? Like we happily threw our full weight behind him. Because if someone like that can execute at the level that he was with nothing, right? Imagine how much more we can do as a collective. And that's where, you know, we got motivated to, you know, begin contributing our part, right? Because a lot of people will sit and wait for the stars to align perfectly, right? They'll want all of the circumstances to be beautiful and everything to go smooth and to have everything answered for them before they take the risk of stepping off.
There is no right time.
No, that dude stepped off into the dark.
The time is now, right?
Exactly.
There's no waiting.
It's funny how there's parallels across life. Like we're talking about something where he's able to help someone, but that same parallel goes for, you know, following a passion for a career. You're taking a step into the dark, not knowing how your future is going to be secure. You're going away from the safety net that you normally have for a chance of something greater. And all success stories come from someone willing to take that leap with no guarantees behind it. And that's just, like I said, one of those parallels that it seems built into the very fabric of our life,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's motivated me to look in the mirror more often and be honest with myself. Because if he can go and do that, what is stopping me from XYZ?
Right.
The trust I have for him, and he never forgot his early motivations.
Huge.
He never forgot himself.
So that interaction or that individual, right, was wholeheartedly the catalyst for what we have now created, right? And what that is Tether Group. Now, this is a little bit of a roundabout way of answering that initial question that was asked, 10, 15 minutes ago now before we went on a rant.
Yeah,
right?
But it's important. You can't answer something like that with no
absolutely.
backstory. So it's definitely was much needed.
100%. But as far as what Tether Group is now, is we are a true nonprofit organization that is actively combating human trafficking, right? Specifically, or I guess with a little bit more of an attention to child trafficking right now in the continent of South Africa. Continent of Africa.
I knew that shit was
coming. I've been up since 3 this morning. So I'm probably going to speak.
And it could be any time. So
you'll have to give me some grace. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what we're currently fixated on and what we are striving to do. Yeah.
20 minutes in and it's already heavy. It's good though. It's good. Yeah, so
I look at it more from an uplifting side of things, like
it is though
to help things. It's like that bad was already happening. Closing your eyes and closing your ears to it doesn't make it less heavy. It just makes you not aware of the heaviness. So it's like
100%, but
a good story in my opinion.
It is, but when I say heavy doesn't mean necessarily a bad thing. Heavy,
it's real.
Heavy is like a very real, like some of the best things in life are a heavy weight, right? But it's just like it's still like it's stuff that you don't. This is stuff that people don't talk about. And it's where the most important things in the world, like it's the most important thing going on in the world. Like you're saving people, dude. Like bad
things happened across history. So the difference is now we have, more ability to connect with people and see the wrongs that are happening simultaneously across the world. So it's like, help where you can.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, nobody's going to remember a shallow conversation.
Never.
You sometimes dive into it. I mean, believe me, I know when we started this, it's going to be one of those uphill battles where it's like when you get onto Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and right? Do you want to look at some funny memes?
Some.
Or do you want to go look at these guys saving children, young adults, and be depressed while you doom scroll? You want that? No, you're going to go look at some reels. You're going to go laugh. You're going to send some to your buddies. So already it's going to be an uphill battle. Mm-hmm. And we have, and that's just on the social media and marketing side of it. I mean, there's also the literal dangers that come with doing the job, right? But I think the most important thing is we just take people's eyes and you're like, no, look at it. Just take a moment. Like it's not, by the way, obviously our AO is over on another continent, but it can happen to you. It can happen to your children. And it's not always just getting kidnapped. A lot of times it could be something as harmless as, hey, like, your kid made a new friend at school and now suddenly I'm getting calls from school and it's like, hey, your kid's not showing up to class. And, there's a lot of early warning signs and it can very much happen to you and your family. I'm from a relatively really safe city in the United States out east. And I grew up there, and I call it the biggest small town ever until now it's not. But I grew up in a very safe neighborhood in around, I want to say 2019, 2018 area, kind of area. There was this huge law enforcement crackdown on a trafficking ring that was happening in a school. And I believe it was like a high school gym coach who was doing this shit. And like they found like 30 something missing kids. And it was like, and I'm just sitting here like, there were 30 missing kids in my hometown,
which I thought was the safest. Yeah.
And it just made me realize, I was like, we're not in a different world. The world's always been this way. When people are like, the world's a crazy place now. It's like, it's always been crazy. Now you just have to look at it. That was my moment where it's like, fuck, now I have to look at it.
Yep.
And I never forgot that. Because I have younger siblings that I care about. And
yeah, I mean, that
was close to where, like, I'll put it in a very, I'll put it like this. Like when I played football, let's just say I played football. I played a whole lot of different sports, but when I played football, our team played theirs. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like a state thing. It was just like a district thing. Like they're just down the road.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of things have opened up people's eyes slightly to it. I mean, even as far as like the Amber Alert becoming a thing. And now it's like, you hear that go off a lot and people have almost gotten desensitized to it. It happens so much. So you went from probably not realizing how much it happened to being, horrified from it to being desensitized to it and it just being a nuisance. But like hearing a noise for a couple seconds isn't a nuisance. It's like you have to understand that this is happening. It's happening in areas and in what ways that you can actually,
absolutely
stop it.
Yeah. Don't be a passive parent. And even if you're an adult, I mean, I don't want you to walk around being paranoid. We don't want that. But like, before you get out of the car, look left, look right. I think you'd be scared once you realize how many eyes you meet if you do that. Not a great feeling. Again, I don't want you to live paranoid. It's just
be aware.
Know that these things happen because the last thing you want is to be completely caught off guard when you or someone becomes a victim. Nobody wants that. You can be as ready as ever as well. And tragedy is tragedy.
Yeah.
I guess the whole point is for maybe some of the people who never experienced it or don't know anyone who's experienced it, look at it. Take a moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you said, don't be paranoid, but be attentive. Like, be aware of the surroundings that are going on. It's interesting. It was not to go off topic. I'll make it short, but like,
go off topic. You're fine. I'm sure it's relevant.
Well,
it's structured, man. I ramble. You ramble. Your turn.
But no, I just renewed my concealed carry. This was my wife's first concealed carry course, and the instructor, that was going through.
Got to take courses there for that, man. Land of the free.
Couldn't be me.
I know, right?
I don't approve.
That's me either. But so it was funny. He said, hey, when you're out and about, look for the most awkward things when you're out and about. Like, just look at the most awkward things, and you're going to start seeing the weirdest, strangest things. And my wife was like, she really took it to heart. I'm already there, right? Like, I'm always like, Ryan's been in the car with me when we're coming back from paintball tournament, and this car went by, was just like, bang, 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 bang. And I was like,
wasn't guns. It just backfired a little bit.
I got some PTSD. I was like, I was like, but I was
it's like he just jerked. He pulled out a Benchmade out the front. I was like, what are you going to do with that if someone was shooting? You're killing me here, Hal.
Yeah, so what you're saying is Hal's the guy who's got his back turned at the restaurant. He's like, I can't sit.
Oh, he's in the corner for sure.
Every time. But no, it was back to my wife. She was like, after that course, she was like, I kind of took that to heart and started looking around. She goes, there's just and she became that more aware self, right? Like she was more aware of her surroundings, being out and stuff. And she was like, man, when you're really looking around, there's a lot of weird shit going on.
Yeah,
like,
you see a lot of cool things too. It's not always like,
no,
I see
know,
this
but
danger, I see this. You see beautiful things, you see cool things that you would have just overlooked. You see touching moments, you see hilarious things. You get to people watch. It's like
he's so
good to be.
He's so optimistic. Yeah,
try to be.
Guy. I just see weird.
That's how I am. I just see the weird shit in life. But
weird's funny though. Weird's good too. It's like looking at something extremely ugly or graphic. You look at it because you can't turn away from it. It's like all of these hit different senses and emotions in you, and that's what's important. And I am optimistic because, like, I don't think I was always this way, but like I learned the more, like, man, I like being around people that are happy. And when people are happy around me, that makes me happier. So it's like, why should I drag someone down or make someone feel a certain way to change that? Like, if I can be optimistic, and like I look at both sides of things and I understand the bad, but if I can be optimistic in a situation, I feel like it can, raise everything around you as well. And
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good.
Send it.
There's a saying like on our team when we're training. I forget it sometimes, but especially when guys are worked up and the cortisol levels are through the damn roof and they're making simple mistakes. Sometimes what Bully and I say is, "Hey, calm spreads calm."
Yeah. Yep.
So
and I'll do the same thing like on our paintball team.
Yeah.
On our paintball team, like in sports, it's the same way. Like we'll get our team around, we'll take a deep breath. You don't always need to be amped up for something. You have to reset to like a neutral level, and then you can think clearly in it.
Yeah, man. We tell our guys all the time. If you see one of your teammates and he's not yelling, screaming, and he's cool as a cucumber, it
makes a chaotic situation feel like it's in slow-mo. And that's important in high adrenaline situations.
Game slows down. We do like it when the game slows down.
Yeah.
Anyway, your wife?
Yeah, no, yeah. No, but it's funny now that, when she has kind of just tuned herself to be a little more aware of things out and about. And I think everyone should have that kind of tuning in them because it's good to be aware of what's going on. It doesn't matter if you're just even at church or a basketball game, something very simple. Like just being aware of your surroundings is it's a very good thing to be in tune with. And I think more people need to. And it's like everyone's so focused on the materialistic thing, like glued to their dang phone. When their kid's crying, here, take the iPad. Like, it's like, no, be in tune with it. Like, figure it out, work it out, be in tune with yourself, be in tune with what's around you, and understand what's going on. And I think that's a crucial thing that this day and age has really been dumbed down to, is not being in tune.
It is important to be in tune to it. And it's also important to know that, like, even if you're in tune to it, some things are outside of your control. So it's like being a passenger riding shotgun in a car, right? Or you could get an accident, someone T-bone you. It's like you might see it happening, you can't control it, so that bad thing's still going to happen. But it's still, you can prevent a lot of preventable situations by being in tune. But the ones that are preventable, they were going to happen either way. So
you might as well be in tune with it.
That's a really good point. You could be as prepared as ever. Life's still going to find a way to hit you.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. No.
So let's kind of go to this question. Why Tether Group? Like, where did y'all come up with that? Like, why was that the name that just like clicked and stuck for y'all?
It's super simple. We're tethered to our guy over there, and we're tethered to the mission. There's corny lines you can do all day, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where we took the approach of, we are sometimes these children only life support they have. Mm-hmm. That was just kind of the aha moment where we're like, our symbol is obviously the infinity symbol, but if you look closely, it's actually a rope.
Yep.
And we see ourselves as the rope that we're handing to these kids, and obviously we mean that in a good way, right? But I mean, literally, it's one of the things where our guy and us were the only ones actually doing it. I mean, we'll talk about the statistics and we'll get into it.
In that specific region, I think it's important to note, which is one thing you had mentioned to us previously is, you know, a lot of the reason why it's not a U.S. based thing is because there are people trying, as much as it happens here, there's still people out there trying to help it. So you're trying to, you know, do it in a area that is kind of a hopeless cause. That no one was out there. That these, you know, victims had no recourse, no hope.
Yeah, it's a you know, the tether is a lifeline out of the darkness.
Yeah,
right. Because a lot of these children over there, man, I mean, they're trafficked by their own families. Yeah, it's not always this, like, everyone's like, oh, it's a snatch and grab and a kidnapping that gets these children into these networks, and that's just not the case. A lot of these kids are sold off by their mothers, or honestly, you see some that are bred to be sold, which is absolutely despicable.
It's actually really common.
It's a very, very common thing over there. But then you also have, you know,
would that be, is that
guns and such. So I mean, it's these kids, even in the event that they, you know, they know their family or have any tie to them, it's not as simple as it is sometimes here, where they can be reunited and rehomed, or someone's at least looking for them. Like, they just become number.
The very people that their only job should be to, you know, take care of them and raise them into adults are the people, you know, harming them. So it's, yeah, like you said, like, not only they have hope that they were doomed from the start without that, so then they have to be saved, but then they also have to, you know, to have a support system around them after.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And it quickly became something that we had to address, because it's one of those things where, I mean, it happened very quickly. You know, he's going out, he's getting these confirmed saves, he's doing operations, and the question becomes, well, we have this kid and the parents were the problem. Where do we take them? Mm-hmm. So it became an emergency overnight, where it's like, we have to partner with people and vet them, because again, sometimes institutions can be a part of the issue. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of things. Where, like, we need to provide these children with a safe haven. And thankfully now we've developed a network so where that is streamlined and it's doable. But it was, unfortunately, we had to learn that by seeing the grim reality of, like, reuniting them with the parents is only going to put more money in the parents' pocket, because they have a product they can sell twice. And South Africa is the market. One of the biggest, most prevalent issue that we see is people coming from north to south to sell their children. They're crossing the border to do it. They're from Mozambique. They're coming from not so much through Namibia, but it happens, but mostly through the Mozambique, Botswana area. They're traveling down and they're selling their children. Their motivations varies, but it happens a lot. And it happens locally too, but we're very surprised by how many cross-border incidents we've come across.
So without getting into details of, like, how you find a specific case or something like that, like, if it's the families selling them in the majority of these times, like, how is it ever even known they're missing? Is it found, like, back end sort of, or, like, whatever you can say? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah, the approach isn't so much of identifying a single individual. It's identifying the network.
Okay.
Identifying the hub or the brothel or
well put.
They call them abortion clinics. It's not abortion in the sense that we know abortions as Americans. It's they perform that service too, but it's like where people it's a marketplace for children. where they will go and sell their children to the abortion clinic, and then the abortion clinic will traffic the children. These are not sanctioned clinics by any means. I mean, they share similarities to our American abortion clinics in name only.
And sometimes it's a front. Sometimes a medical license will be used as like, hey, this is an abortion clinic, but if you come around back, you can sell me your 13-year-old. You can abort your 13-year-old kid, and it's like, what? So yeah, he nailed it on the head. It's not about we're finding, John Doe or Timmy out in the wild and we're looking for them. We're normally identifying the networks and we're trying to penetrate those.
Because, I mean, if we just look at baseline statistics, right? I mean, it's estimated, because there's no way to track this number to the, T, but that 50 million people at any given time globally are involved in or are caught within human trafficking.
They're entering.
Yeah. And it's estimated that about 38% of those are children. Right. And human trafficking goes beyond sex trafficking. Right. That's what we typically think of immediately. It's sex trafficking. It's forced labor or modern slavery. Right. Organ harvesting, and the incredibly disturbing practice of human sacrifice. It sounds like something out of a fucking book, and it's not.
And unfortunately, we're dealing with all four in this one country.
Yeah.
It's literally a roll of the dice, which one it's going to be.
Yeah, because if anyone wants anyone for a nefarious purpose, they're going to go somewhere where it's easy to do, where people aren't looking for them. And...
Yep. There's a massive market for it. So that's the reason that the networks themselves have to be targeted. Yeah. Because there is a far too large number of individual cases, many of which are never reported or underreported or they're honestly brainwashed into never trying to escape because they feel isolated and stranded as they are, right?
They're good at what they do. Whether it's blackmail, coercion.
I knew it, and you made me forget for a second. When you hear the word wrong, you're like, man, now I lost it.
That's but they're good at what they do. A lot of the victims, there's times where there's combative victims. This is all that sometimes you're taking them away from the only world they know.
So would you say it's more Stockholm? That you see some Stockholm syndrome out of it, or
they're still terrified of their handlers? They're still mortified of it, but they don't have a home to go back to. It's that of the street.
And if it's all they've known is danger and terror in their life, like, how are they going to believe anyone? They don't know that you're there to help them, and they could have been brainwashed originally, been like, no, we're helping you, and their life's bad. Like, they don't know any other way. So yeah, it's not like you said, if they were actively trying to escape or putting out calls, but it's like the only world they know is evil. So,
and when you throw
substance fight back.
Yeah, and when you throw substance abuse in the mix, then it's like, I got you. You're hooked. I'm your handler. You're terrified of me. I hit you. I don't treat you well, or maybe I treat you really well because I keep giving you your next high. It's all considerations that we look at. It's addiction is powerful, and most people, once it started, they're powerless to it.
Yeah, I guess what all I was trying to say is, like, a norm in one person's life or a normal person's life isn't the reality that they're living in, and different people are living in. So their norm and the reactions to situations are gonna, show that, not our upbringing.
Oh yeah, the cultural differences between us here in the West and over there. Not only sometimes they're speaking a different language, but like even sometimes there's basic fundamentals of sometimes, unfortunately, morality, or even just how life and things work. You're gonna run into hiccups, like government being one. But I don't want to get too much into South African politics for a little bit. But it's very common for us to run into roadblocks where it's we genuinely don't understand why things are done this way. Like, I know, like, the biggest thing for you and I was like, you're telling me private entities are leading the charge in human trafficking? here in the United States, law enforcement is that when something happens, you call the cops. You know what? I don't want to pull statistics out of my ass here, but there's a heavy majority of South Africans when they are in a life-threatening emergency, whether they need fire, ambulance, or police, they don't call, the government-sanctioned, firefighters, ambulance, police. They're calling private. There's private entities that are first responders.
Yeah, that's not unique, to South Africa either. I mean, in my small travels around the world, I'm saying when you're in a country like Venezuela, it's the same way. They don't trust the authority because they're, crooked in a lot of senses. So, you have to watch your own back or have someone that you trust in a different way, but it's not in the official capacity that we have here, that they're, working within some sort of semblance of a set of rules and laws. Sometimes, in Venezuela, I'll use it as an example because, I saw it firsthand. I talked to people. It's like, no, it's like we would never stop for a cop at night because they're the first people that would rob you, that would do this to you. So it's, countries and their, makeups from the ground up are all different and all have their own corruption. Every country has its own corruption. Some is just at different levels. So what you see in countries, like South Africa, is that corruption is throughout all the levels. So there's no one on the side that you should be able to trust.
Absolutely. And, just because it's things where people are put between a rock and a hard place, because not everyone's also going to trust a private police force to come and help them.
Yeah.
But, they also can't trust the South African police force either.
No.
So it's one of those things where sometimes it ends up being very prevalent that you're seeing vigilantism.
Vigilantism. There we go.
We're gonna get through this. But yeah, there's a lot of mob rule. It happens all the time. There was one story where their heart was in the right place. It was just this big community gathering of people who would walk the streets at night just to protect people. And where the issue became is where they were stopping, searching, and beating people because they wouldn't comply. So it's one of those things where hey, you're walking at night. Let me search your backpack. Why do you need a backpack at night? And it's like, what the fuck? Why can't he have a backpack? And, he says, no, leave me alone. They beat him. And what's even worse is a lot of times they call the South African police to actually escort this mob as they walk the streets at night. So basically, you're walking the streets and you're essentially harassing everyone you meet. Again, these community outreach, these community programs, and these people who are walking the street at night, they've done good. It's not all bad. But what was funny to me is that they're walking as a giant mob down the street. Everyone can see them coming. This isn't like, it's not like a stakeout. And they have police escorts anyway. The police resources are already there.
Yeah.
Like you're just double dipping I don't think you're helping, especially when you're broadcasting everyone that a parade's going down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just too many stories at this point.
Just a lot of times things end up being optically that's the reason it's for instead of the actual results.
Mm-hmm.
I think that those mobs were just they began to spring up simply because of I don't know if it's ineptitude or just lack of care or just baseline corruption of the police force. And so then, you got these vigilante groups that begin doing things. And it's a natural response because it's just people trying to secure their own safety.
But now you have bad actors in those groups.
And then you unfortunately,
I have a gun and this guy's got a backpack.
Yeah. And in any group, in the cross section of any group, there's going to be a range of good and bad. So there's always going to be someone taking advantage of a situation in almost any group.
You see the only, communities out there that end up being on the safer side are have contracted armed, 24-hour essentially private police force.
And people's houses look like castles over there, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
the dichotomy is houses are nothing, shacks are houses.
yeah, there's people who have their whole family in what would be like a tool shed for us Americans.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's others that have a mansion with barbed wire, security cameras, roving security all over. I mean, the dichotomy there is just, like it's, and sometimes these neighborhoods are right next to each other, and it's mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, not much separation sometimes between that.
And that wealth disparity only increases and further adds fuel to just baseline crime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The unemployment rate being so high and
33.2 as of right now.
Yeah, and the economic stability being non-existent, really. It just horrifically accelerates the crime, and that's why you see these massive surges in carjackings and murders and murder for hire.
Yeah, carjacking's massive. That's true.
Yeah, and like the there's like the taxi syndicate, for example, who, they are taxi drivers, but it's a massive gang. But the South African economy is completely dependent on them because, like, I'm not going to make up.
People can't afford cars; they have to have a taxi service.
They have to have a taxi service to get to work, and it's something like like millions of dollars in daily production is dependent on these taxi services, but they're horrifically corrupt. And they will extort and kidnap and murder people simply for any multitude of reasons.
Let's say a politician wants to take a move to like reduce taxi services subsidies. You won't, dude. You're not gonna make it next month, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to under exaggerate the amount of power like these taxi syndicates have. It's a very big issue there, and these mafias, these taxi syndicates, taxi mafias, they're double dipping. Not only are they using these taxis to do a legit clean business, but when you have essentially what's a logistical network all in the palm of your hands, you can get up to a lot of no good.
Yeah.
Got their hands on a little bit of everything.
But what's not silly, it's just, it is what it is. That they're probably like one of our biggest like red flags. The taxi syndicates are not a joke. They are not to be played with.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah,
so go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that they're it's pretty easy to traffic people when they're kidnap individuals when they are already captive within your vehicle.
Yeah, and when cops are already, they're already iffy when it comes to pulling over a taxi.
Yeah, they're kind of irreproachable because they're looking out for their own lives too. It's like, well, I'm not messing with them at this point.
Yeah, we've seen South African police take bribes as, hey, this is a hijacked building, which is just like it's a bunch of squatters, or sometimes it's like a whole sky rise, like 13 floors up, and it's a whole hijacked building. No one in there is supposed to be there. And we've seen like South African cops like take what's essentially just 11 US to look the other way.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
When I was in Egypt once, I climbed up a little bit on the pyramid. Cops came. We had to bribe 2 cops. We bought them 1 Pepsi to share.
That was in one of our first episodes. They were like 2 Pepsis, and y'all were telling them
1 Pepsi.
We're negotiating.
Yeah,
negotiating the Pepsi bribe.
That's what they appreciate, though. You have to do it their own way. If you don't negotiate in certain countries, you're doing it wrong.
He's stimulating the economy, man. 1 Pepsi at a time. That's great.
Yeah, just 1.
It was cold.
You get 2 room temps, or you get 1 cold one. I don't know. I'm walking away if you ask for 3.
I do want to kind of rewind and bring it back. I think what really makes y'all different as a group, though, is that y'all are boots on the ground. Y'all are in the thick of it. You are not the kind of guys to be like, oh yeah, we're over here and we need help. And y'all are the guys that are actually going and getting it done, though. Y'all are the guys that are figuring this out, putting the time in, really grinding your hearts and minds away at it and doing this thing. And I think that's what really separates y'all from
your own safety and everyone who's part of your group safety. Like, understanding the risks associated with what you're doing, it's commendable. And I don't want you guys to feel weird. That you deserve a pat on the back for that, because a charity that raises money and gives away the majority of the money that they're raising to that cause is also commendable. But it's harder to find people that are putting more at risk than just their time and energy.
Well, thank you. So to answer your question, why are we boots on the ground? Why are we so involved? Specifically, it's because it's the whole point. One of our big ethos is we need to go where others won't, and no one is doing it over there. Just our guy. And another reason is if we just become one of those organizations where we hand everything to law enforcement, it doesn't work like that over there. Bureaucracy either moves at a snail's pace or doesn't move at all. There's God, I don't even know if I can tell a story. There was a police chief who basically, this guy was dead to rights. They had all the evidence in the world. They could have put this guy away for a long time. But he was also the chief of police's cousin. And he walked the same fucking day. That's why private entities are leading the charge. That's why our guys are being very picky about individuals that they're working with in law enforcement. That is why they prefer working with people who either hawks, which is kind of like just the South African, federal police, FBI. We'll call them the South African FBI. That's why they're working with these organizations to where there's not necessarily skin in the game, but they give a fuck. Yeah. They give a fuck. There's no other way to do it over there. You can't be an advocate because
I'm sorry.
You're good. Nothing will get done. It's either a big phrase. It was in Blood Diamonds. It's a very common phrase. It's TIA. This is Africa. Yeah. When you bring a Western solution to Africa, don't be surprised when you're just left sitting on your ass because you have absolutely nothing to work with. You have to be the one going in and making the change. You have to be the one on the ground, so to speak. It's otherwise nothing happens. We've got the statistics right here with us. We've seen what happens when we leave it to the South African government. I won't read it right now. What did you have?
Oh yeah. So from 2007 to 2022, there were 11,177 reports of human trafficking, right, where it was directly reported to the South African police force. Over that time span, the same 07 to 22, there were a total of 44 convictions.
44 in more than a 10-year span? That's not sad. No. It's unthinkable. That's why it's boots on the ground. That is why it's private entities, because when we leave it to them, they've proven themselves completely inept. It's unacceptable.
So I guess what I'm curious about is how does walking that tightrope of legality work for something like that, especially being foreign nationals in a place like that?
That's a good question.
So we can't go into the super details about.
And I'm not even saying vigilantism is bad because you guys aren't. But I'm saying sometimes it's good. You look at that dude who killed his daughter's rapist recently, and now he's running for I think mayor or governor of wherever he's from. And he's the leading candidate now, and he's just out on bond. It's because sometimes people don't agree with the process of the law, and sometimes.
That's badass.
Outside of it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty recent. I just read an article of it. I apologize. His name escapes me now, but it's a recent. You could Google that and see it.
I think I'm kind of with that.
Go there and vote for him.
That's what I'm
No, man. I can't really get into the specifics of the organizational structure, but the difference is that in South Africa, private entities with the state's blessing can execute what is essentially a warrant.
And have use of force rights.
On the service of that warrant. That is the fundamental difference of our legal system and theirs. As long as everything is still conducted above board, the private entity is still able to operate within its right. So that allows us as Tether and as foreign nationals to assist. And that's going to be the extent that I can explain there. But it is very important, just to kind of put some of that things at bed, because I don't want it. I don't ever want the framing to be that, we're a bunch of American cowboys that are going over there on a fucking vacation.
Yeah.
Because that is unfortunately something that happens, and it is not helping anyone's fight.
We're not promoting tactical vacations. That's what we call them. We're not promoting that at all.
And that only worsens the situation more often than not, because those individuals that are going over there and doing these things
funded them sometimes,
and they're conducting themselves in an unprofessional manner that puts the natives at risk, not just on operations, but in terms of OPSEC and cleanliness and just basic operational standards.
And more doubt in their mind if someone's doing it for a good reason. Probably anytime something like that happens, it goes wrong. If a American gets killed over there and it's something like that, now you have more South African government crackdown on people actually trying to do it. So yeah, for a multitude of reasons, you'd never.
It would make it much harder for guys who want to go in and actually do things by the book and do it correctly. We've unfortunately dealt with these damn tactical cowboys, and I'd be lying if I said, "Oh no, they just didn't." Our guys just didn't mind. There's no bad taste for Americans in people's mouths now. It's an uphill fight, and when people are like, "I'm gonna go over there and be a goon, and I'm gonna do all this cowboy shit. I'm gonna save the day, then I'm gonna leave. Peace out." It doesn't work like that. You put a lot of lives in danger, and unfortunately, it's something we've dealt with, and I get very upset talking about it because there's good people over there with the right state of mind, and they're doing this for the right reasons, and for their lives to be in jeopardy because some people want to go over there, have their selfie, like I saved the kids. Good luck while I fuck off, and I left you with a ton of liability. It happens.
And that's the thing, right? Is that the liability is still there. The dude that goes on vacation gets to come back to the States and is back in the safety of his home country. The native South African is still there, still at risk, still compromised by the actions that somebody recklessly took. And that is a massive, massive problem.
So what's if there's people that, have the right skill set, the right mindset, obviously what differentiates you from other people is you went in with the right intention. So if someone has those intentions, what's the right way that it would be contacting a group that's already doing it that they trust in? Or because it's easy to say no one should just do it, but the reality is the right people shouldn't, the wrong people shouldn't, but the reality is if someone's dead set on it, they will do it. So it's how do you
the advice that I would give there, right, is to find and vet an organization operating within your host nation that you would be willing to tie yourself to and provide value to that organization first and foremost before ever asking.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect.
You can't, you don't want to have the big dick swinging mentality of oh, hey, I'm here now. I'm going to save the day. You should just listen to me. Because no one likes that. Just that's a shitty way to conduct yourself.
Yeah.
But find that connection, provide value where you can, and then try to foster and build that relationship from there. I think that's really the best and most efficacious route. And then make sure you get all your fucking paperwork. There's a lot of
So do things legally, because if you get caught out, left out to dry, man, foreign prisons are so great.
Norway might not be too bad.
Yeah, vacation.
Some Scandinavian prisons if you had to.
But the best advice I give someone, if you're dead set, you have the right intentions, you're not doing this because it's fun. You've looked in the mirror, you've searched in your soul that like, no, this is something I want to commit my life to. I'm telling you right now, it's the same as base building when you're trying to learn to run for the first time. There is that you can't expedite this.
Yeah.
You can't get on a plane and go do this tomorrow. There's no fast track way. It's like the same process when you're going through the military. You got to go into the recruiter. You got to make sure you're in good health. You got to make sure you have the right contract. Then you got to go to MEPS. Then you're going to go through basic training. Obviously, that's two different worlds. You know what I mean? But like, there's no fast track way to do this. You're going to have to understand delayed gratification. You're going to have to understand that if this is something that you're serious about, it's going to take time. This is not something you can dive into tomorrow on a whim or an impulse. You're going to dedicate a lot of your time and sanity to a lot of this. Not to mention, just being pragmatic here, a lot of money. And there's, we've had talks with guys on our team, and not everyone's been on board. And that's understandable. There's people here who have families and they have things to take care of. You know what I mean? There's a select few who are willing to be a part of this mission. And it doesn't mean you're going over there and you're being this cool savior. You're being a detective over in South Africa. There's guys we need who are here in the United States who can help. We've got guys who are really good at have a background in logistics and planning. There's guys with backgrounds in intelligence work and you know what I mean, et cetera, et cetera. It's not about the cool guy mission. If you give a fuck about the job, bring your current skill set. There's guys who have a lot of engineering construction experience. The amount of good you can do over there? You want to talk about hearts and mind? Let's build these fuckers a house. Jesus. You know what I mean? It doesn't,
schools, clean water, houses.
I don't need another shooter. I don't. There's too many of them. It's an oversaturated market. Yeah. It is what it is.
I think that's the best way to put it is, find a way to use your skill set just to benefit, if your heart calls you to that.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question? We rambled, didn't we?
We rambled a little bit. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
Ryan, that answered it.
It did. It was very good, in depth.
Because we don't. I really don't want to ever give off the perception that we're trying to gatekeep, because gatekeeping is fucking gay. Yeah. Except when I do it, because then it's right. But no. But just real.
That was really good.
Realistically, it's just
when I do it, I'm cool.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where like there's a lot of evil in the world, and every good man should throw his hat into the ring in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just a matter of understanding where you are a best utility to combat that evil, and then doing it the right way.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is not just jumping into something, making sure you figure out the right way to do it, the right time to do it, and you thought of every possibility within it and how it's going to affect it.
Yes.
And having a team around you. It's like anything, the more a team of anything, you have people that skill sets accentuate each other. So using those, and you have, like you said, gatekeeping's gay unless it's me because it's cool. But that's true, because it's your own opinions and your own thought processes are ingrained in you, and you need pushback from other people. Sometimes you have your biggest arguments with your best friends because you need someone or your wife, or you just need someone who you respect to push back on your ideas so that you can, look deeper at them and decide if you're really heartfelt into those, or if, you just kind of hadn't thought as analytically about them.
Yeah, we tell this to everyone as soon as they join the team. Do not be a yes man. If you see something you don't like, you need to speak up. That doesn't mean go around being an asshole, but it's one of those
fine line between that.
But if you love somebody, and I mean you really give a fuck about them, and if you see them doing something that's not great, you need to just tell them. Absolutely. I don't want to dwell on that point too long, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's important.
100%. We kind of bounced onto it. You said,
Dude.
this costs a lot of money. I mean, not only are you having to, y'all are nonprofit. Y'all are, when you go to your tethergroup.org is where you can find these guys. It's funny, but if you think about it at the same time, it's not really.
And how you'll put the link in our description and everything too.
100%, 100%. But your website is very straight and to the point. But you also, for OPSEC reasons, for people that don't know OPSEC, it's operational security. It's for everybody's security and safety that's involved, right? You can't be overly detailed about this stuff. I mean, and you have to protect. And like you said, it's not just about y'all. It's about where you're operating, their safety, and everyone, whether it's on the receiving end from y'all helping them or y'all's end, right? It's a very important thing. So when you go and look at it, I think it's very blunt, it's straight, and just to the point. Step one is awareness. It's on their website. Step one is awareness. We're step two, right? We're the action. We are the people that are not we, but y'all are the people that are going in, and y'all are going for the head of the snake. It's not we're doing this small aspect. It's like we're really going to get into it.
And when you talk about OPSEC too, it's like it's not just about the safety of that, but like it's also about information getting out that could change the way people do it to hide their mistakes more and make things harder to track and harder to trace. And that's just as important or more important long term than an individual or a case.
100%.
So that mission statement of awareness is step one, we are step two. It derived because this didn't come from us. This come from our guy overseas right there right now. Again, he started this with nothing. He just went out and he started busting his ass to get into this work. From the get-go, yes, every life matters. The point is to save children, to get children out of these situations. But I mean, just like with fire in his eyes, I don't want to make it too over dramatic, but he said, and I want to dismantle the syndicates that keep fucking this. It's not about always putting a Band-Aid over a fucking gushing chest wound.
Yeah.
It's not about that for him. He wants to go right into the source. And so that mission statement wasn't something that we just thought of would sound cool. It was given to us.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of long nights and a lot of talks where it's like, is this something we commit to? Because what he is doing is so fucking dangerous. And after a lot of soul searching, it's that we if not us, who? Because quite literally, no one's doing it over there. And, and he didn't start just like, one day he was a normal guy on the street. And then the next day he was just awesome anti-human trafficker. He started working with other charities in the very beginning, and unfortunately he saw issues. He saw things where they were part of the problem. I mean, hell, he's run into issues where there's charities gatekeeping each other when there should be collaboration. If you have information, if you have the ability to act, and you can't because you want to gatekeep resources away from people who can help you. What are your motivations then? I mean, he's had instances where he has been a part of a sting, a part of an operation, and it's been successful. And another charity shows up at the end, and they're like, "We got it from here." Why? Because you have a fucking camera. It's unfortunately things that he's run into. I mean. What's bad is we already look evil in the eye when we're dealing with the scum of the earth that are traffickers.
Yeah.
It becomes a stab in the back when sometimes it's coming from the people that are supposed to be helping you. And I don't mean just people who are in the charity space. It's the government officials who look the other way. It is the inept police force. It is the other private security entities who may or may not be involved. It's the border. It's the like one of the border guards who just sees a group of migrants who are just sneaking on their barbed wire and they just don't give a fuck. It's one of those things. And that's not a comment on American politics. I really don't want to get into that shit. It's different over there. Yeah. A lot of times, if people are sneaking in, it's one, they do want a better life in South Africa because they may be coming from a war zone. Because as you know, Rwanda, Congo right now is super, super fun. But it could also be an issue where, congrats, these are traffickers who are coming across. So what's the problem is again, we look evil in the eye with the traffickers, and then it's the nothing done by the guys who are supposed to be on your side. It feels very isolating at times because I think more times than not, we find people who are definitely not worth our trust over there than we find that are a valuable asset, and not to mention just a good, moral, upstanding person over there. I'm not saying if just because people do nothing over there that they're bad. It's just one of those things where you are complicit. It is what it is. And some people don't have a good life over there. They've got their own problems. I get it. But South Africa had such great potential. And it's not looking good right now. We had the end of apartheid. We had the rise of Nelson Mandela, and it's like, and one year they hosted the goddamn Olympics.
Yep,
would never happen today. So what's the issue? A lot of people, even people in power, will make damn sure they can do nothing. They don't want to do it. It sucks because it had such potential to be like a great nation. And right now we're watching it slip. And there's good people over there who deserve better.
That's it. It's important anywhere you look at. Governments and systems don't control what a person is. Like anywhere in the world, there's good people and there's bad people. If people could have conversations with each other and get to know each other's feelings, it's like you relate to people, anyone, a lot more than you don't. The internet and problems like that is, cause a lot of strife with people, even in the US, like putting things on two sides a lot, creating enemies. But like, man, you talk to people in real life, they can have a completely different opinion on 90% of things as me. I can still have a good conversation. I can still learn something from them. I could still teach them something, and you could come away from it better in every way. But there's, nefarious actors and there's good people everywhere. Yeah. So but lack of resources, economics, that just puts people in more dire straits, and you are a product of your own environment. So, the poorer area is, the more crime that there will always be, and the more things will always grow worse. And then, people are survivals. Like we're survivalists in our nature. It's like, we learn, we create, we invent, and when push comes to shove, we're violent and we will survive. So that human nature just becomes more apparent in places like that, but it's prevalent everywhere.
That's a very good point.
So I do want to ask y'all, since y'all have been boots on the ground over there, you've seen this, their aspect of life, right? This like societal differences in the norms, is completely, most people are so out of touch from even how good we have it here, even when it's rough. Like, we're born with great opportunities here, right? And, over there, you're you're not really born with an opportunity. You're born to survive. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. And, you know, it's over there. It's almost when you're born into that world, you're not even born with hope. Like, it seems like it's almost all is lost kind of deal. And, you know, and I feel like, and please chime in if I am saying something that doesn't align. But
well, first I want to say, you know, to the viewer there, we work here in the United States. When he's saying boots on the ground, we mean we're knee deep in the mission. We have in-country liaisons who are busting their ass. So I just don't want the viewer to be confused. You know, I'm not over there. Eventually, the goal is to be over there to have better in-person assets and capabilities, because I do have a background that could support local law enforcement, and same with Bully. So it says boots on the ground. We're knee deep in the mission, but we have in-country liaisons who are definitely boots on the ground, actually executing warrants, who are doing incredible work, incredibly dangerous work, and with almost no support. And now, thankfully, that we're here, they have plenty. But that's thanks to you, the person who can donate and support the mission. But I just wanted to make that clear real quick. I didn't want people to think we're just these cool operator guys and we're doing this. You know, it's a small beginnings right now. That you're looking at the I guess the initial flame of what is Tether Group and Reload Faith, which is our organization over in South Africa. But to your point, you're right. Depending on your circumstances of your family, you don't have a birthright. You know, obviously there's people who are born into better situations and things of that nature, but South Africa specifically is a country where, in the state of the economy and the state of a lot of laws, if you are born into that state where you come from nothing, you might just stay there. Mm-hmm. A lot of the wealth that you see isn't always worked for in where the laws and the way the economy is currently structured, you know. So right now we're seeing a lot of laws where, I'll just be candid, they're trying to cripple the current, not ruling class, but they're really looking to cripple the current people who have the money. And the biggest issue with that is when you go to someone who has money and you say, I'm going to instill a whole bunch of laws and bylaws where it's going to make it very hard for you to maintain your lifestyle, they have money, they will fucking leave. South Africans are leaving South Africa, and they're going to places that have better opportunities from them. And the people who are currently poor are staying where they're at. There is a huge exodus in South Africa.
And that doesn't only happen on money. That's like a brain drain too. You know, people have money, usually had resources, went to school, are taking that information to other countries and not helping that region.
And, you know, this isn't a way to like just say, if you're South African, you're not going to make it. That's not what I'm saying at all. There are plenty of stories where people came from South Africa and they've done incredible things with their lives and they've worked their ass off to get where they are. But I'm saying for the general populace, it's extremely hard. It's easier to do it here in America, you know.
And people in America can be listening to this and feel hopeless too, because you can be born in situations where, you know, you feel hopeless, but the system isn't against you. There's a way to get out of it easier. Absolutely. And like you said, in South Africa, they can too.
It's less.
But it's just a smaller percentage. So in America, not everyone's successful. Not everyone will be. Some people will be stuck in the same problems that they were born into, and then raise families that you know, duplicate that issue over and over again across generations, and that can feel like, you know, quicksand or hopeless to get out of. But the opportunity can be there. You know, the right place, the right time, the right opportunity, the right chance, and you can get out of it easier in this country, no matter how you're feeling or your current situation is in this country. It's like, you know, one of the great things about America. I'm very patriotic in the fact that, like, I don't always think our government's right, but I think the way it was founded and the ideals that it was founded on were just right. And it's our responsibility to try to make sure that doesn't get taken away, because the more things get eroded, the harder they are to ever get back, if possible.
Yeah, man.
And that's and from our limited, right? Because I mean, we're obviously pretty well entrenched in the happenings over there, right? But like at the end of the day, we are still Americans, and we are viewing things through an American lens, and there's always going to be a level of distortion, right? And it's innate, and as much as we try to fight it, it's ingrained in us. But in my opinion, the state of South Africa is just a significantly advanced place of that erosion. After apartheid ended, they put in some really aggressive policies to try to swing the pendulum in the other direction. And, as as Reagan said, the worst words to ever hear are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." That's not just an American issue. That's a worldwide issue. And we're now seeing the ramifications of that overstep. And, like Irish was saying, the people with the means are beginning to flee. The people who are still patriotic and prideful are obviously sitting there slugging it out, right? But they're being dealt an incredibly unfair hand. On both sides, right? On the haves and the have-nots, and the middle class as well, right?
Which is dwindling.
But yeah, we think our middle class here is small. It's exceptionally small over there. But it's an interesting state of everything. There's a lot of, one of the things that I think that a government really serves to be able to do is to provide security both from external and internal threats, right? In order to prosper and grow and build an economy, a business, a family, you need to have and start with a baseline of security, right? You need to know that you're not going to be robbed at every single street corner, that you're not going to be kidnapped or burgled or murdered, right? And when that is a prevailing issue, it makes everything else significantly harder, because the foundation of security is not promised, because the government has failed those citizens. And it's sad. It really is. There are some amazing, amazing people over there, and they are an unfortunate victim of their circumstance. And I have no answers to fix the situation, man. We're just trying to make the small little impacts that we can, and impact the few lives that we're able to.
No, that's awesome. And for as much as you're able to go into it, do you have any success stories about even something you heard someone else doing or your group doing of, you said about kids or people being trafficked who fight back sometimes, but a story about someone getting saved and like the smile on their face, or I don't know, anything that you could, without names, places, anything like that, just like
no pressure.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I'm just trying to think of ways to ensure we can. No, that's a sad one. There's a lot of sad ones. There are a lot of saves, right? And that's a beautiful thing. The ones that are all immediately coming to mind are nothing that are dramatically great for stories, right? Where it's not an exceptionally unique case, because
the save isn't like the end of the story. It's just like the beginning of where their struggle is going to start.
Like, if people want to help, like what are some needs? What are Tether's needs? We'll start there.
So, I mean, it really just breaks down into two main things. And it's the unfortunate part of running a nonprofit and running a charity. But it's one of those things where, we are directly fueled by donations. Myself, Irish, the rest of the team have poured substantial funds into the operation up until this point. And we're now at a point where we've gotten it as far as we can. And in order to continue to grow, continue to scale, we need external support. As much as it's an interesting gear change for us to try to ask for donations, because it's strange. We're still getting used to it. That really is the lifeblood of any charity. We would love to be able to do this for free, but the operations are expensive, the travel is expensive, the housing is expensive.
The hours,
everything is expensive, right?
The amount of man hours that just right now are just free. I mean, I know some of our guys work really hard. I know, and a lot of these guys have families, so it's just one of those things where the support matters.
Yeah,
it always goes towards the mission.
So, I mean, if we never raise another dollar, the work will continue, and it will be in whatever capacity that we can make it happen. It's just one of those things that, each milestone of funding, if you will, allows this to become more robust, allows us to become more efficient, allows us to do even more. And that is really our main motivation for it. That's why we began accepting donations in the first place, is because there's already a market impact being made, but it's not enough. And it frankly never will be enough. Right. But we will reach and strive for as high of a level as possible. So that's one aspect, is the funding side. The other is, we are a fledgling charity. No one, knows who we are, and that's totally okay. We haven't earned that attention yet in the public eye, and we will. But honestly, just having conversations, right? Sharing podcasts like this or posts on Instagram or whatever the case may be, just to get more attention to the situation. Because, back to the side of, awareness is step one, right? And we are step two. Attention makes the world go round, right? And there are a lot of charities out there that do a great job of bringing attention to situations. But, we need a little bit of attention brought to what is the solution now.
Yeah.
So as far as actionable things that can impact Tether in a positive way, I think those two really kind of boil down to it. Irish, I don't know if you have anything you wanted to add on that.
I think awareness covers the part that I would say.
Yeah.
Where I would encourage someone to, while they have their free time, while they're in the middle of their doom scrolling, in that time that you have, at some point, look at something that will change the world. Look at something that has an impact. And I know that would be asking a lot for some people, because, we all have jobs. We all stress out. We all have our own problems. But just having one more person know that Tether exists is all I want. If I can just get one more. If it's every day, just one more person.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. And it grows, right? The power of word of mouth is so powerful.
Yeah. And sometimes, just got to get right in front of the right person's ears, in front of the right person's eyes, that can make an even bigger difference, whether that's financially or however, so it's like you said, awareness is important, because it's not just to let people, be aware of the problem, but it's, to get it in front of people that can have an effect on the situation.
Of course.
And so I kind of want to ask y'all, when you get donations and things of that sort, where do those funds get routed to? How do they get dispersed, or if you can talk about that kind of thing, how do y'all figure that kind of stuff out?
Well, that's one of those things where it pays way more to be transparent. So I know we're on this podcast. We got balaclavas on. You know, there's certain things where it's like, we won't go over this, or hey, I can't dive too deep into this. When it comes to funds, this is a hill we'll die on. It's going to the mission. I know Bully can. He's a fucking nerd. He can dive into the really nitty gritty of like where the funds are routed and exactly where and how and everything. But just as a preface here, like we're going to tell you exactly like where these funds are going. They're not going to somebody's pockets as a front or anything like that, because unfortunately that happens. That does exist. I don't know which charity it was where it's like, I think like less than 10% was going to like the relief funds and stuff like that.
It's the majority of
I was going to say most of
really? I had hope.
No. Unfortunately, it was misplaced.
Yeah.
No, it's an unfortunate thing that happens in a lot of massive charities. Is that honestly, the majority of funds get paid out to board member salaries.
Yeah.
Massive bonuses.
Board member salaries?
Yes.
Well, the thing about nonprofits are like people want to think that like a nonprofit really only means that your mission statement has to be that the profit isn't your motivation.
I will say that I understand if board members are getting salaries, if it's their full-time job, like if you are putting so much time into it that you still need to live, I get that. But I guess
there's no stipulation on that, and there's no way to stop someone from getting paid $50 million for that.
Sorry, say that again.
I said there's just no stipulations on it, so there's no way to stop someone from getting $50 million a year for having their name associated to it.
Okay. Yeah. So I knew stuff like that was happening. What tripped me up was when you guys said majority. That broke my heart.
Yeah. I mean, like obviously there are a lot of amazing charities out there that don't do that. But when you think of like the massive, like big name charities, if you go
household names,
because all charities have to publish their earnings reports. It is required to maintain your 501c3 status. You have to. It's in the public, right? So I'm not just trying to shit talk and drag people. It's just it's a sad thing to go look at these larger charities and see that only a small percentage of donations are actually going to the cause. That's one thing that Irish and I and the rest of our team have, really dug our heels in on, is that, we will never allow that to be a culture that is pervasive here at Tether. So to answer your question, how on where are the funds going, right? When someone makes a donation, what's actually happening with that money? It's doing two things, right? And they get separated out in a specific way. But there's a large portion of it that gets diverted immediately to the team that is currently operating right now, right? Our guys that are in country, already getting these saves, already executing these missions, and those funds are getting diverted over there to help with them, feed the kids, conduct these missions, and pay for the enormous overhead that they have to do these kind of operations, right? The other small subset of those funds is held aside for our domestic, our American operational team. So the goal is in the very immediate future to get a undisclosed number of individuals over there. And that requires travel, that requires kit, that requires visas, that requires a whole lot. So while we are building up that nest egg, the one thing that we don't want to do is make that a disproportionate split, right? Mm-hmm. To where it's like, oh, well, yeah, sure, we're going to save 90% so we can go over. It's like, no, man, like we'll nickel and dime our way up there, right? We're going to get over there when we get over there, right? And I have full faith in our ability to do that. Right now, what's important is getting another kid.
Yep.
How can that money best do that? It's by immediately giving it to our in-country team.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a thing where this money's going to go straight to supply and it's going to sit in the rear.
Yeah.
In the rear with the gear. Yeah. I immediately went to a pissed off first sergeant's voice. But it goes straight to the front line. And I think that's how it should be, because only they are going to have a good set of eyes of the current situation. We can be a part of every brief, every debrief. We can see an expense report. We can read whatever they fucking send us. Reality on the ground is rarely ever going to match what command sees as a saying. You know what I mean? So we just believe resources go to the front line first. Our in-country team is going to see these funds. Within reason, not telling them to go out every night. It's one of those things where it goes towards the mission. It's always going to be mission first.
And
we haven't taken a fucking dime. A lot of the money's come straight from our pockets. Even it's the reality of the situation when you give a fuck.
Yeah. So, as a further point of transparency, I mean, one of the things that will eventually happen, right, when we reach these higher echelons of funding, is obviously we will be able to get our American team over in country, get them equipped, and get them operationally capable. They will also, we're going to have modest salaries for everyone because it's going to be months-long commitments out there. It's not weekend trips. We can't maintain day jobs while doing this kind of work. So yes, there will be salaries that are paid out to members that are actively operating, but it's not the, we're not $50 million a year that the World Wildlife Foundation pays out to their board members.
You're not becoming,
like you said, like that stuff becomes public knowledge, and that's the only reason we know when 70% or 60% or 90% going into office salaries and things like that. Like that's all becomes prevalent. And I think it's important to touch on the fact too that you guys are already established as a nonprofit, but you guys are IRS pending. So if people do donate to you, which I hope that they do, if this story has touched their hearts, but at least spread the word. But at this time, you guys are going through that process. So it's not instantly a tax break, but as soon as that approval goes through, even any donations that happen before that would be okay for tax breaks, right? Like
correct. Yeah. So we are an officially formed above board actual nonprofit organization. We currently have our 501c3 petition submitted to the IRS. We are just waiting for that to be returned to us. Once it is returned to us, then from that point on, any donations that have been made before can be retroactively deducted, and then obviously all future donations will be able to be deducted from your taxes, which we're really excited for that. Awesome. But the government works at the government's pace. Yep. So we've
I know for like small donations, a lot of people don't think about that, but if it gets in the right person's ear and it's a big donation, that is important for certain people here.
We're under no naivety of there when people are going, especially with like you said, the big dollar donations, that they're not going to have that interest in mind. We understand. We completely understand. And that's why
not that they don't have that interest in mind, but they would, if they're going to be donating it anyway, they're going to
might as well take advantage of it.
I can't predict everyone's motivations.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying, like, if someone's given the choice between two things and one thing's mutually beneficial, they'll pick that one if there's no other differences.
100%.
Good for them.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. Though, if you can take advantage of something, take advantage of it, man. If it doesn't, the only person that's hurting is the government. But
I just realized I did that, and I'm a guy wearing a balaclava.
Yeah, that was probably the gayest thing you've ever done, actually.
Can you believe the guy in the balaclava doesn't trust the government? He's gonna pull out a Molotov cocktail next.
Okay,
we're gonna be let's just goon it up.
Yeah, let's get this podcast on the tails.
All right.
Now, you guys, you don't normally see people smiling behind balaclavas, though, and I can tell you guys are smiling.
Yeah.
So, I like to think we have pretty expressive eyes.
Yeah. No, that's it's all great. Thanks for touching on all that. Thank you for being transparent, because it's a big thing this day and age. People aren't transparent about, where money goes. It's like, donate to us. We're a cause in need, or, whatever it may be. And then it's like, okay, poof, gone into a lining a pocket, right? And that's
we live in a scammier world than we've ever lived in before. I mean, like, get 4 text messages a day from people trying to scam me, like let alone calls and emails.
Our name's Tether, and we're already associated with a damn crypto coin.
When I was younger, I looked at my parents or grandparents or older people and how are they falling for scams? But the older I get and the more technology changes, you're like, oh, it's super easy. It would be super easy to fall for a scam.
Yeah, we're gonna be them soon.
Yeah, I finally saw an AI video that I didn't immediately recognize as AI, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh,
it hurts.
I'm fucked. I'm losing all my money when I'm old.
We are in trouble. At the rate it's going, we are in bad trouble.
Having money when you're old sounds nice. We'll see. Let's see.
Never gonna happen with me.
He says the craziest shit sometimes.
Shit.
Yeah, whenever he's popping his in, whenever he's doing some stupid shit at the gym, whether he's having some beer, I'm like, chill out, man. He's like, don't worry, this is not what's going to kill me.
Yeah, I have plot armor. It's okay.
Everyone needs a vice.
Yeah,
he's gonna die.
You gotta be careful with the plot armor thing. You feel like you do, though.
No, it's a joke, but that is actually something that's really important. Is you don't have plot armor, and life is very precious, and you can lose it at any moment, and you need to appreciate that. Mm-hmm. So I joke about that very, very frequently, right?
We joke about on our paintball team. We joke about similar things, not in life and death situations, but similar things where But like you said, it is a joke, and
this is the strangest motivational little talk.
Fair.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'm
man,
sorry. I can't help it.
Yeah, it's just you should appreciate life. You don't have plot armor. Got it.
You don't, though.
Tether Group.
No, man.
Oh man, Jesus.
Goodness. With that being said, guys, we'll wrap it up and be respectful of everyone's times. I think we had an outstanding podcast and great conversations, and man, heavy and good conversations that need to be heard and had. This is something that people hear through someone else, but you don't really see people that are involved in it really sit down and talk about it. So I think this is a huge step forward for the people that are in this world and that operate and work in it, and that are just standing 10 toes in on business,
And long form conversation is so important, because if I could listen to any 2 people talk for long enough, I can get a sense of their morality and their belief system and the way they view the world. And if you can understand the way someone views the world, you can understand their intentions. So I think I know was stepping pretty far out for you guys to, come on a podcast and things like that. But I do think it's that's a way to get information out that's, so sensitive and hard to get out in other ways.
100%. We really appreciate you guys, taking the time to open up your platform for us and deal with our interesting idiosyncrasies. This is the first time that we've ever been in a podcast, and I hope that we did an okay enough job conveying who we are and what we do. But just thank you to you both, Hal and Ryan, to allow us to come on here, talk about our story, talk about what we're trying to accomplish. It really, really means a lot to us.
Yeah, I've never been in a place where I could. Obviously, there's a lot we couldn't talk about, but I've never been in a position to talk about even a little bit of our backstory. So this is completely new to me. I was very nervous coming on here, but
we didn't come across as nervous. You can tell in the way people speak. You guys looked extremely comfortable in your own skin, and that's important.
Well, thank you. But it's worth it. If one more person knows Tether exists, for all I know, if one more person knows, that's one more kid we can get out of a terrible situation. It's all worth it. But I love this job, and I happily keep doing this job to the day I die.
As random as this is going to be, do you guys have a spot on your website for emails or tips or anything like that? Because we do have some South African listeners from connections with paintball and stuff like that. So I just didn't know if you guys had like a tip line or.
We don't necessarily have a tip line,
and those are dicey in the first place.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah,
I would assume so.
That non-vetted thing, right?
What I will say is this, though. If anyone, for any stretch of the imagination, needs to reach out and get a hold of us, whether it's to have a more detailed question answered, or to just have a conversation, or to give tips, or to ask for help, right? We have an email. It is open to everyone. It's on the website, but it's also contact@tethergroup.org. I read every single email that comes through. So we'll do our best to facilitate whatever that request may be, if it's in our power. But no, that's one thing that I really want to make sure that we maintain a culture of I don't want to say accessibility, but not aloofness, right? To where we never want to be above a conversation, regardless of what that conversation is. So whether it's through the email or through our Instagram, we try our best to respond and acknowledge every bit of communication that is sent our way.
Yeah, if you have ever any questions, hit us up. Tether.group, Instagram.
Yep.
Tether.group. It's that simple. Any questions, concerns, a vouch for transparency, whatever. Hell, I mean, if you want to find more ways to get involved, please contact us.
Yeah. And then we also have the ability. We have a newsletter that we'll be putting out very soon here. So you can go subscribe to the newsletter on the website as well. Not trying to make this a endless call to action of things that you can do, but it's important to know that those options are out there. And again, I never want Tether to be a beyond approach, right? We are firm believers in being down in the trenches, both on the operational side of things, but also in the community side of things. We do our best to maintain our humanity,
especially in this fucking job.
Yeah.
There's the decompression that is involved half the time is lengthy.
A lot of it. Yeah, you probably have to fight desensitization, too. Like, because even people that work in healthcare and stuff get desensitized to situations that they see a lot. So it probably has to be an active fight to not get used to awful.
Yeah, I think that comes with anything. If you see, if you're faced with enough evil, you stop having that knee-jerk
reaction. Yeah.
Right. And reminding yourself that what you're looking at, what you're staring at, is objective evil is important.
Yep. It's a war without borders.
Yeah.
But I think what you're trying to say is make sure you don't lose yourself when you keep staring at evil all day.
Yes.
Make sure you can still differentiate, what's light and what's dark. I know, obviously with a military background, or law enforcement background, especially in today's law enforcement, I mean, God, but I know they deal with that all the time. I would always caution those who work in similar fields, when you keep looking at it for too long, make sure you still can differentiate what's good and what's bad, obviously. That would be my number one piece of advice.
Yeah, no, that's an incredibly important one.
100%.
Yeah.
So, it just, I'm a godly man. I'm Christian, and it's like there's I just want to share this with you because it's probably one of my favorite verses in the Bible. Isaiah 6:8, and it goes, "And I heard the voice of the Lord, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me." Right? Like that's what y'all are doing. Y'all raised your hand and said, hey, we're gonna go put this at the door front, right? And it almost brings me to tears right now because y'all aren't men of words, y'all are men of action, And so I'm proud of y'all. Like, it's what you're doing is unbelievable, and the world needs more people like y'all. So thank you for what you're doing for this world, not just for the people it's going to inspire people. It's going to give people hope. It's going to change people's lives ways they'll never imagine. And so thank you for blessing us when trusting us with your time, your story, your just what you found your passion to be. Words can't say enough thanks about that. So I just wanted to do the best I could by saying it. So with that being said, guys, people can find you Instagram. Let's do where they can find you at right now. What's the Instagram handle?
Yeah, Instagram, super easy. It's just tether.group.
Cool. And then as far as the website, it is tethergroup.org, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And they can get, and I will tell you guys, you can definitely get a hold of them if you have questions or anything. These guys are always here. So with that being said, we're going to wrap it up. Thank y'all so much.
Gentlemen, thank you. I really appreciated it once again. Thank you.
No, it was our pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank y'all. We
All
will.
love.
What's that?
All the love in the world. Thank you.
Yeah, same back at you, man. All right, with that, see you in the next one.